Good evening. I'm speaking to you tonight from the offices of General Dynamics, one of the world's largest weapons companies, with its office here in Bell's Corners, a West End, Ottawa division. And I'm here tonight because we want to honor this young man's family. This is an orphan in Gaza. His name is Aziz, and 16 members of his family were killed in an Israeli attack on Gaza that claimed the lives of 42 human beings on the weekend. They had to load the bodies into a truck for burial before the airstrikes resumed, and here he's spending a few final moments with his mom. His loved ones were killed by an Mk-84 bomb, which was produced by this company, General Dynamics. General Dynamics is a global weapons firm. They have a $15 billion contract at General Dynamics Land Systems in London, Ontario, which is being used to arm the Saudi regime, among many others. And I want to talk a little bit about the kind of destruction they cause. The Marc 84 bomb produced by General Dynamics can form a crater 50 feet wide and 36 feet deep. It can penetrate up to 15 inches of metal or 11 feet of concrete, depending on the height from which it's dropped, and causes lethal fragmentation to a radius of 400 yards. These bombs are designed for maximum blast and explosive effect. And what happens when they are used? You produce orphans like Aziz in the Gaza Strip. So I'm here tonight as well because most people don't get that Canada is a major player in the weapons trade. In 2019, the top non-U.S. destination for Canadian weapons export permits was Israel. 401 times. Global Affairs sat down. They looked at the abuses that are committed daily under Israeli apartheid, and they went ahead and they approved 401 permits. And so tonight, as we gather here at General Dynamics, let's look at our role here in Canada in terms of creating orphans like Aziz. We need to stop arming Israel. We need to stop building weapons and supplying the United States, which also gives Canadian weaponry to Israel as well. So what can we do? We can demand a permanent halt to the sale of Canadian weapons by demanding that Global Affairs Minister Marc Garneau get on this and stop approving any weapons exports, especially to Israel. And the way it works here in Canada is the Global Affairs Ministry sends out its global weapons pimps through the Canadian Commercial Corporation. They broker the deals, and then they bring them to Global Affairs and say, is this okay? And Global Affairs says, sure, send them on. What happens when Global Affairs approves the arming of Israel? Marc 84 bombs are dropped. They kill hundreds of people, and they leave Aziz an orphan. The other thing that you can do is call on Transport Minister Omar Al-Jabra. He needs to cancel the purchase of Israeli drones which were combat tested on Palestinian civilians in Gaza. These drones are from Elbit Systems, which produces chemical weapons, including white phosphorus, which has been used. And also they use the technology, as does General Dynamics, which is used for Israel's apartheid wall. Now, some of you are wondering, what can I do in Ottawa? Well, looky here. Just 6 weeks ago, General Dynamics announced a cyber reference lab at Carleton University. That's code word for cyber warfare. These are guys who are going to be looking at how to commit cyber warfare. So if you're at Carleton University and you don't want to be partnering with a blood-stained corporation like General Dynamics, if you're a student, if you're a staffer, if you are a professor, let them know that General Dynamics does not belong on this campus. Why? Look at this selection of weapons that is produced by General Dynamics and supplied to the Israeli military. Everything from the 5,000-pound bunker bombs to the Mk-82 and the Mk-84, which is the 2,000-pound bomb. They also provide armored personnel carriers, F-16 and F-35 jets, as well as tanks and other weaponry, which has been used in the ethnic cleansing of Palestine, which has been used in Lebanon, collective punishment and war crimes. So the message is quite simple. Canada has got to stop arming Israel. Canada has got to speak out. Canada has got to end its complicity in the Israeli apartheid system. It has to support boycott, divestment, and sanctions, and any other means which I think are perfectly reasonable in a civil society in a boycott situation to say we cannot support apartheid. Many thousands of people in this country were against apartheid in South Africa. It's the same system in Israel, and everyone from Nelson Mandela, the late leader of the ANC in South Africa, to Bishop Tutu and many others have recognized that Israel is an apartheid state. There are many good people in the state of Israel who have been out on the streets. You're not seeing them in the media, but they are speaking out against the crimes being committed in their name by their government. There are young teenaged Israelis who often go to prison rather than serve in the so-called Israeli Defense Forces, enforcing the occupation of Israeli apartheid as well. So once again, thank you for watching. Stop arming Israel. Tonight, let's hold in our hearts young Aziz, who lost 16 members of his family. This war is continuing. It is brutal. But even after the bombing stops, there is still the almost 15-year blockade, the illegal blockade of Gaza, which prevents medical supplies and educational supplies, all the things you need for a civil society. And one way we can do that is send a very strong message in saying we will no longer arm Israeli apartheid. So thank you for watching, and please stay tuned. And if you are in a community that has a General Dynamics factory, speak to the people who work there. Ask them how they feel about the fact that their products are among the most dangerous and deadly on the planet, and that perhaps they can do something about it. Did you know that Canada's largest private sector union, Unifor, represents workers at General Dynamics Land Systems in London, Ontario, and those workers are churning out the kind of weaponry which is used to repress the workers of Saudi Arabia, of Yemen, and many other countries. There's something wrong there. The unions were originally about solidarity globally. Let's get back to that spirit of solidarity and say wherever there is oppression, wherever there is this kind of military violence, this genocidal ethnic cleansing, that we must speak out. We should never support it, either through weapons deals or trade deals or anything else that profits off of those things. So thank you for watching, and again, call Omar Al-Jabra, write to him and say cancel the Israeli purchase of the Israeli drones, and also demand a permanent halt to the sale of Canadian weapons, not only to Israel, but to the United States, which is the world's leading terrorist organization. So stop arming Israel, and remember all those who are trying to survive under the bombs tonight and every night, and who are just trying to live their lives in peace and in freedom as well. So please, send the message out to General Dynamics. We also have Lockheed Martin. Their bombs are being used. The bombs of Boeing are being used. In most Canadian cities, there are these corporations that are making the bomb fuses, that are making the casings, that are producing the iron, the steel, the metals that are used in the F-16 fighter jets. Canada plays a huge role in arming Israeli apartheid and in murdering the people of Palestine. Let's put a stop to it, and let's put a stop to it now. I know sometimes it feels like it's too big of an issue, but every once in a while you can just say, I'm going to get involved. I'll get involved in boycott and divestment. I will support Palestinian political prisoners. I will support the young Israeli teenagers who are refuseniks and say, I will not serve in the Israeli Defense Forces. I will not enforce apartheid. So if you don't know what to do, make a comment saying, please help, and I'll send you some links a little bit later on. But for now, Stop arming Israel. And this corporation is part of a global system which makes a profit off of mass murder, and it's got to stop. Thanks for watching, folks. Take care of one another, and please continue speaking out and acting out to end this horrific situation.